argument will be all last offseason, when Purdy was coming off 2 immaculate seasons, I was the bad guy saying, I wonder what it would look like if he didn't have all that talent around him. Then we saw it happen. They won 6 games. And now I'm still the bad guy by saying, I think that is why making the Super Bowl 2 years ago does not inherently make him better than Matt Stafford, who won it 4 years ago, or Jaden Daniels, who we were saying, is he the league MVP his first year in the league? Like, I think all of that is reasonable and totally legitimate. It's not, if I were saying Trevor's better than him just because I like the player more, I have more upside belief with him, there's nothing to lean on. I think for every single one of those guys, there are things to lean on and real questions about it. And he's in a group with Herbert, and who has all the talent but none of the accomplishment. You know, Dak, who has accomplished almost as much and done it longer but hasn't reached the heights.
Playoffs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I think what you're proving, but you certainly will not admit it, is that I'm right.
No,
It's fluid.
Well,
because it is possible that he passes a few of those guys you have in your list right now.
Yeah.
You know, in that tier ahead of him. It's possible that this year he passes Stafford in your eyes.
Oh, yeah, because Stafford ages out of it.
Right.
Yeah, but it's also possible that Caleb, guys I didn't even mention, Caleb passes him. Or that Jordan Love.
I mean, they would have to have a spectacular year, and Purdy would have to be mediocre again.
Yes.
But
yeah.
But I just think y'all don't like it. Maybe you think it's not great TV. Brew is right. It's fluid.
You know, I just, how many times, though, do I have to make this video with this nonsense of, we saw Brock Purdy without the talent. We saw him with the talent. He had 2 amazing seasons with talent around him, and he won and looked great. And then we saw him with the poor talent, and they couldn't win, and he was bad. And it's just like, I've shown this to you guys so many times, but he keeps saying it. So I can't let it go. I honestly can't. I can't let it go. I mean, again, Patrick Mahomes, 26 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Everyone says he didn't have a lot of people around him. He didn't have a lot of people around him. And he had an 85.8 offensive rating. Brock Purdy, 82.4 offensive rating. So a little over 3 points lower than Patrick Mahomes. So just right there. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. 8.5 yards per attempt. Patrick Mahomes, 6.8 yards per attempt. Patrick Mahomes, 3,928 yards. Brock Purdy, 3,864 yards. So I just don't understand. 65.9% completion percentage. Patrick Mahomes, 67.5% completion percentage. So it just doesn't make sense. Patrick Mahomes, 93.5 passer rating. Brock Purdy, 96.1 passer rating. Patrick Mahomes had 212 pressures. He had a bad O-line. Brock Purdy, 200. Right there within range. So it just does not make sense. It really, really doesn't. You say, well, the Chiefs, they went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, they did. Their defense was elite. It was the second best in the NFL. Whereas the 49ers had a bottom of the barrel defense. The 49ers, I can't even get it so low it gets cut off. This is the defense that they had. The 28th ranked defense. Kansas City Chiefs, second. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, go by points allowed. The Kansas City Chiefs gave up 326 points. The 49ers gave up 436. 436. They gave up over 100 more points throughout the season. That is insane. Do you think that contributed to them losing games? Do you think that? You already know what I'm going to do here. Done it plenty of times. In those yards of Patrick Mahomes, what do you have, 3,900 yards or whatever? 2,300 of them came from Yak. 2,300 of them. 2,300. He was top 3, and he missed the whole game. Brock Purdy had 1,600 yards. Came from him. Came from Yak. 1,600. He was 20th. I mean, I just, it's just so obvious here. And Brock Purdy, top 10 in average depth of target. Patrick Mahomes, bottom 3, next to Gardner Minshew and Tua Tagovailoa. He was throwing the shortest passes and yet was having the most yards after catch, whereas Brock Purdy was throwing the farthest passes on average and the shortest yards after catch. So stop putting it all on Brock Purdy. And this has nothing to do with previous accomplishments. I can't say this any more clearly. Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes winning Super Bowls and this, that. That's not the point of this comparison. For some reason, it's just like people just can't seem to grasp that. Or they just, like JCT Slice said, they got to just be trolling at this point. When we do some of these comparisons, doesn't mean equality. Doesn't mean that someone's saying that Patrick Mahomes is then the same as Brock Purdy. But when Nick Wright says the statement, we saw what he looked like without talent around him, and this is what we got. Well, we saw Patrick Mahomes without talent around him, at least offensively, and look what we got. Look what we got. We got almost identical numbers, but with clearly more support from the coaching and the team around him with yards after catch, asking Patrick Mahomes to throw shorter passes. But he had a better defense, which then directly led to wins, and a better special teams, blocking field goals, making field goals. Essentially the polar opposite of the 49ers. I mean, the 49ers with Brock Purdy scored 389 points. The Kansas City Chiefs, 385. So a Brock Purdy-led offense actually put up more points. More points. Now, that's not the end-all, be-all. I'm not going to pretend that it is. Same thing like points allowed isn't either. But it's still data. It's still information. It's still something. Look at the top teams that scored a lot of points. The teams that all scored a ton of points were all great teams, and their defense held their own. The teams that scored a ton of these points that are up here in the top 10, top 5, top 15, whatever cutoff point we want to use, you could clearly see that their defense is what did them in. Like, you have the Bengals putting up the top 6, 472 points, but they only went 9-8. Okay? And then you have a team that scored less than them, like the Packers, the Eagles, etc., but their defense was clearly light years better, 303, 338, 332, whereas the Bengals gave up 434 points. Okay? So you can see that. All of these great teams, they scored more points than they gave up. And if they gave up almost about the same or even more, their record shows it. And that's exactly what we see with the 49ers. When they're actually, them and the Bengals are the only team. If we just go to 13 and up, they are the only team. Let's see here. I think they are actually, it's not even the Bengals. They are the only team that they gave up more points defensively than offensively. Because the Cardinals scored more points than they gave up. Chargers scored more points. Broncos scored more points. Yep. The Vikings, the Packers, the Eagles. Yep. And then here the 49ers are. They gave up more points than they scored. You're going to blame that for Brock Purdy? Does that make sense? Does that seem fair? I mean, even if we just look at rushing now. Brock Purdy, 323 rushing yards. Patrick Mahomes, only 307. Brock Purdy, 5 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes, 2. Brock Purdy, 66 attempts. Patrick Mahomes, 58. yards after contact, 163, 124. 10-plus yard runs, 12. He had 12 10-plus yard runs. Patrick Mahomes, 12 10-plus yard runs. On designed runs, Patrick Mahomes, negative 26. Brock Purdy, 23. Ran for 33 first downs. Patrick Mahomes, only 21. I mean, by many metrics, Brock Purdy actually had a better season as a quarterback. I'm going through them all with you right now. Especially if we want to just go by the stats. Just is what it is. And I don't think anyone would disagree that Andy Reid is a significantly better coach than Shanahan. Not going to say that Shanahan's some trash garbage coach. I think Shanahan is a great coach. But like obviously he has the upper hand there. Just look at Yak. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I'm so sick of that narrative. We saw what Brock Purdy did with the talent around him, and they only won 6 games. Again, if you make a statement like that, then you're then going by wins and losses. And if that's the statement that you're going to make, then that means that Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. His record against Mahomes is 2-1. If you're going to go by wins and losses, if you're going to make a statement like that Nick Wright made, then that means that you are saying that I am looking at wins and losses as this reference point. Okay? Then Jalen Hurts is better. And if you only want to do Super Bowls, well, it's 1-1. And if you say, yeah, but the team. Yeah, exactly. I just went through it. The team matters. Let's look at stats. Let's look at defenses. Let's look at the whole picture. That's why you got to be careful with the statements that you make and the way how you're getting to them. And let me say this one more time. Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. What this whole argument shows is a flaw in the logic, issues of just by going through statistics, as well as actually understanding we have to look beyond just wins and losses as this grand master reference point. Nick might not say it right now because it's a little, not as popular, but I'm confident Nick Wright believes Stafford is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. And if he had to pick a quarterback for next season, he would pick Matthew Stafford over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts just beat Matthew Stafford. I mean, Jalen Hurts just won the Super Bowl. I mean, I believe that if Nick Wright had to choose right now, he would pick Jaden Daniels over Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl, beat him head to head. So it's like if you're gonna use certain logic, you got to be consistent with the logic. You can't have it one way and then change it another. And it's just funny because we saw how games were won for the Chiefs, and we saw the defense, et cetera, them obviously asking Patrick Mahomes to do less. And it is actually really funny how we want to use the run game to hurt quarterbacks when we don't like them. Oh, Saquon Barkley, the O-line, the defense. Like, when we don't like a quarterback, we want to really point a lot of these things out. And it is so interesting to me that nobody really uses yak like I do. And I don't think like I'm like some special person here, but like I do not ever really see these guys talk about it. I don't see the herd. I really don't see them talk about it as like an actual point of like, this tremendously helps a quarterback out. I mean, that's obvious. That's obvious. And when you have a quarterback throwing the shortest targets, the shortest average depth of target, and getting top in the league in yards after a catch, that is something. That is on the same level of saying, well, they got the best O-line in the league, or they have, the best running game. Like that is massive. That is less work. If I am a quarterback and I only have to throw the ball 4 yards away, and then that player is now going to rip off 15, 20 yards after that, that is a million times easier than asking me, the same quarterback, to throw the ball 25 yards down the field, going through all my progressions. Because I got news for you. When you're throwing like a 4-yard pass, you're not really going through, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's not really what's happening necessarily. A lot of these are schemed throws. That's what I always say. It's hike throw. It's where you're going with the ball from the jump. I mean, that is Andy Reid 101. Do you think that benefits you? We know that. So, just every time he says that take, it drives me crazy. And it's just, again, like, the last thing I'll say is it's just like a quarterback, in order to prove their worth, they need to be, I guess, special with a bad team. And yet, how many times have we really seen that? And you don't think that if they had a significantly better defense, or just even, dare I say, an average defense, that same 49ers team would have been able to win 9 games, 10 games, 11 games? And if that's the case, which I think is totally fair to say, well, then that's a couple games back than what we've seen Mahomes do, even though he's had like an elite defense. So it's just like, okay, so then he's like kind of in striking distance of what you believe is to be the best quarterback you've ever seen in your entire life, which is that Nick Wright believes that Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback he's ever seen in his life. He just said that last week when talking about the flag football Olympic team. So if the greatest quarterback you've ever seen in your entire life with an elite top defense in the NFL had average stats, but could still come away with like 12, 13, 14 wins, whatever it may be, don't you think, though, then it would be fair to have a quarterback who's just under that tier? If he actually had a competent defense, that he could win 10, 11 games or so, which is, again, right within range. No one in their right mind, and I don't even think Nick Wright blames Joe Burrow for how last season went. And you could say, well, I saw what Joe Burrow did in a bad year, or whatever it is, and Joe Burrow had elite weapons around him. And Nick Wright absolutely positively believes that Joe Burrow is a top quarterback in the NFL. And yet, here we have the Bengals going 9-8. Just 2 games more, So it just doesn't mean what you think it means when you say it that way. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about this truly, truly, truly never-ending story about Brock Purdy? And, he's only good with great people around him, and blah, 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 blah. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.